talk about some of the iconic figures that you've worked with. Name them.
Well, at Arista Records, I was director of publicity, and I worked with Miss Aretha. I worked with Kenny G, Whitney Houston, Carly Simon,
Wow.
Kenny G. Did I say Kenny G? Yes, I did say Kenny G. The Notorious B.I.G, my Biggie. Total 112. I had the entire Bad Boy roster. 112, Mace, and Sean Puffy Combs. And don't ask me any questions. And and I also worked with all of the artists on LaFace, Usher, Toni Braxton, TLC. And I had Rowdy as well, Monica, Dallas Austin. Yes,
Oh my God.
and Outkast. Mhm.
Wow. I'm so glad that you ran off your roster, and I'm sure that there's many, many more. And oftentimes we look at the people who are at the front, and we're not looking at the people who made them ready.
Mhm.
Share a moment with us where it was really difficult getting an artist ready for the public. Share the moment and who was the artist.
Oh my gosh. Which one? They all had to get ready because they were all so green when they came. I and let me say this before, let me preface what I'm about to say with this point. My greatest joy was taking an unknown gem,
Mhm,
getting them polished and ready for public consumption
mhm,
and presenting them to the world. That was my greatest joy.
mhm.
I would say one of the toughest artists to get ready was Biggie. And
I can see it.
well, I had come in, and just when he was about to be media trained, Wendy Washington was leaving Arista, and I replaced Wendy Washington. She said, "Now, I already planned this little day with Biggie. I heard he's difficult. I haven't had a chance to media train him. He hasn't allowed me to get with him, but the press is coming." She had already set up the day. I said, "Okay." And she said, "But you're going to need to meet with him a couple of hours before and give him a quick down and dirty." It's no problem. So we get there. He arrives. He's at Bad Boy when I arrived, very early, and we're in the room with the hospitality and everything that I had set up. And then so we start talking, and I introduce myself, and he looks me up and down and goes, "Okay." And so I sit down and I start asking him questions. I said, "I just want to do a run through really quickly. I want to do a little media training with you." He goes, "Uh-huh." And I say, so he's answering questions, and I'm saying, "Okay, answer the question with the question. Stop saying the N word, and look people directly in the eye when you speak to them." He said, "I'll be right back." Oh, then he looked me up and down again. He said, "You a B." And I said, "I don't know what your cuss policy is, but," and he
No,
said,
cuss like a sailor if you want to. Go
I
ahead.
told him, "It's Miss Bitch to you."
Wow.
Okay. And he said, "I'll be right back." And so about 15 minutes passed. I said, "Well, he should have been back in here by now." I went around the office looking for him. I didn't see him. I went to ask the receptionist, "Did you see Biggie pass here?" She said, "Oh, yeah, he left about 15 minutes ago." I was like, "Left? Like, left the building?" And I went into Michelle Joyce's office and broke down crying. I said, "Oh my gosh, the press is coming here in 2 hours, and Biggie has left the building." She said, "Girl, this is how he rolls. Get used to it. You're hungry? Come with me." And I sat in her office and cried real tears. This is my first thing I'm doing at Arista. And I said, "Am I about to get fired from this job?" And it went like that our first year. Then finally, it took a turn when he saw that I was really on his side. And he
Mm,
started calling me Ma.
mm.
And then he wanted to be media trained more. He wanted all of those things. So I sucked. I got Deanna Williams. I said, "I'm gonna stick somebody on you. You make Deanna Williams train you." And she doesn't take no tea for the fever.
Uh-huh.
So she trained him up, and then he became a little superstar
Wow.
because then he wanted it. By the second album, my first album was rocky. Just as the second album was moving on, he was, "I'm gonna be cooperative. I'm not gonna have 20 people with me. It's gonna be good." I said, "Okay, I'm looking forward to it."
So I just want to capture something very pertinent that you said, because for people who are in the business of building relationships, sometimes it may not always start that easy, but you were able to persist. What exactly did you do to cultivate the relationship between you and the Notorious B.I.G., where he felt safe, where he started calling you mom, where he was ready by album 2? What did you do?